Hey guys, you may be wondering what happened to Roger, or you may not. You may not be. You may say, "Well, I don't give a shit what happened to him." Regardless, this is what's happened to me. If you're interested, if you're not interested, then why are you watching this video? So, I got this put together. I don't know if I showed this on another video or not. I'm gonna go over this real quick with you. So I welded these up. And while they turned out okay, those are 5/16 holes. You can see I've got the 5/16 here ready to rock and roll. And I put some here down on this just to hold this together like it's supposed to be. And you can see the penetration where it came through nicely. Here's the thing. I had to blast the heat to this thing. I mean, because I'm welding 16 gauge to 16 gauge. Well, that little welder's 110 MIG. It's not really set up to do that thick a material like that. It's pretty much maxed out at that point. You can see I've got it all the way turned up, hot as it'll go, E4, 4E, whatever, and that's it. I have nothing more. I even plugged it straight into the wall without having my extension cord. I tried all kinds of stuff to get it to go hotter. I literally had to drop in and just crawl until that thing was just hot. This whole panel got hot. Well, talking to Kevin, he's like, man, it shouldn't be that way. He's got a 252 or something like that welder, Miller. He's like, man, you can do a 7/32 hole and literally just fire up on it, boom, it pops to the other side, you're done. You don't have to pour heat into this whole thing to make it, to make it penetrate, which I had to do. I probably, did 2 or 3 of them before they started really trying to penetrate through. Let me see if I can show you the other side. And they did come through, but he's like, man, you shouldn't have to be working that hard. He said, your machine is just not quite cutting it on that thick of steel. Now on the sheet metal it works fine, on the thin sheet metal, 20/18 gauge, stuff like that. But 16 gauge is just a little too much for this machine. So what I'm opting to do is to go ahead and buy me a new machine. And I'm going to try to probably end up picking up the Miller 211. It looks like a pretty good machine. It's 110 and 220 volt. It's supposed to weld up to, man, I forgot how thick metal, but it's going to be plenty for this. My guess is when you switch over to 220, you're probably going to be able to do 16 gauge steel, which if you get rockers like this, that's what they're going to be. And just from me to you, if you don't get a bubble coming out the backside of your weld, there's a good chance it's not going to stick, because I actually did it with, I don't know what I did with the panel, but I had a panel somewhere. And here it is, I welded through it, trying to make sure it'd come through. Oh, this is not it. That's something else I did. But anyway, I pulled it apart, and it didn't. I thought for sure it stuck, and it hadn't. It just let loose. And I'm like, wow, I am so glad that I did not think that was right and put that on my car, because it would have come apart. So, anyway, for me to you, I don't know what I did with that piece of metal, or no telling. It was bent all the pieces. I got a mess, so you know how that works. Oh, right here. You guys probably saw it before I did. So, I'm getting these welds, and man, they look great, Same with these here. And then I pulled them, then I went ahead and ripped this apart. That one there held, but it didn't hold real great. These just completely came loose, and the back sides of those look just like these. So all I did was fill in that hole. So be careful. You really need that to come through like that, not like this. Okay? So learn from me. Luckily we caught that, basically. And Barb didn't want, I mean, Kevin didn't want me to weld these together at all till I got a new welder. And of course, I'm stubborn. I'm like, I can make it work. And, you know, I did 2 or 3, 4 of them. And they, you know, it just, the whole panel, when you went to touch it, was just so freaking hot. And I'm like, man, this is, and luckily this panel is this complex amount of curves. And it you know, probably didn't warp it. I'm sure it didn't. But, you know, if it had been flat, yeah, it'd look like a freaking U. But anyway, so that's that. That's what I've got going on there. So basically, I'm waiting on another welder. I'll probably do something different on the car. Probably go ahead and pull the trunk pan off and get all that stuff cleaned up, and I'll just set these aside for now. Decided I was going to put a new harmonic balancer on my Blazer because I couldn't get it to time right, and I thought, you know, this old balancer, wherever I threw it, here it is, you know, it got the rubber in there and it could have slipped, and it's crappy and it's God knows how old. And so, you know, I went and bought a new balancer thinking, well, I'll just pull this one off, put a new one on, and time it and be done. Yeah, it didn't really work that way, which I don't know why I would ever think it does, because it usually doesn't work that way. So got into it, and little keyway and crankshaft didn't want to come out. That was fun. I actually did put a new seal in the timing cover that was on there, and of course when I put the new seal on it, I put it on, and then I thought I'd take that key out because the balancer didn't want to fit on there right because the key was a little marred up. So when I tried to get that out, it ran into the seal. So I ended up having to take the timing cover off to get that key out. Well, when I did, I'm looking at this timing chain, and I've actually turned this around to where it's at top dead center where these 2 little deals here are lined up. And yeah, the chain is really loose, so I'm going to put a double roller on it. So now I'm into that. Well, I got to looking underneath it. Somebody's cobbled up this little deal here where the pan's been leaking. My rear main seal was bad. I'm like, jeez. So I'll probably end up having to pull the pan, put new gaskets, new rear main seal, timing chain, cover. Luckily, I've already got a brand new water pump that I just put on not too long ago. I had to buy gaskets for it. But yeah, ultimately, I just want to put a new, you know, I just want to put a new balancer on it and drive it, you know. Yeah, not so much. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. At least the way it crumbled for me. So yeah. And I am not a mechanic, so I mean, I can take things apart and put them back together. But I don't like it. I don't really like it. But yeah, I think I'd like building a new motor because everything's clean and shiny and not stripped out and not whatever. I'm a brat. I guess I'm a brat. That's why I like body work. I mean, other than the sanding stuff, which is necessary, you get it all apart, and then you put new pieces back on, and you stay clean. And anyway, so that's what I've been up to. And yeah, I got to order a new timing chain and whatever else, and we'll see what happens. I'll probably come out here tomorrow and try to play with something. Maybe this car here. Problem is I can't move this in or out now because it's so heavy. I can't move it back in if I push it out. So it'll have to stay here. So if I do anything to the trunk, I'll just have to raise the body up, or the roof off the body, and pull it off from back there and that type of deal. Alright guys, I just thought I'd give you a little quick what's up. Probably not as quick as I thought, but you guys have a good evening. Beautiful day. It's like 89 degrees here today. So got the fan on, doors up, just loving life. Alright, see ya.